I hope that this video inspires you to try using your imagination in a more positive and productive way to manifest daily what it is that you need to do or you want to do, but you're afraid of the outcome. Maybe it'll alleviate some of your anxiety because you'll start to see evidence of it working on a daily basis. And the more that you feel like you have control over your daily life, I think the more you're going to feel like you can manifest bigger things in the future.
So find a way to
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monica, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how you're using your imagination wrong, and I'm going to give you a law of attraction technique to try instead. First off, guys, I don't know why, I'm just like in a really silly mood, and every time I think of the word imagination, I always think of SpongeBob, because I watched SpongeBob a lot when I was growing up. I always think of the SpongeBob episode and all those memes with him making a rainbow with his hands and how he's always like, imagination. It always makes me laugh, so that's probably why I feel silly right now. Anyways, imagination. Imagination to me is one of the most precious gifts that we are given as humans, because I do believe imagination is what truly helps in manifestation. But I feel like we lose a lot of our imagination when we're children, and I don't know what that point is. I even try to think about it for myself. I don't know what that exact, it probably isn't an exact moment, like overnight. It takes some time that I kind of lost that sense of imagination and creativity and all of those sort of things. You know, at some point we get very brainwashed, we get very indoctrinated to conform to society, to grow up, to be mature, to be an adult, to be a productive member of society, whatever that means. And we stop playing with what's considered childish things, such as toys. You stop playing with Barbies and maybe stop playing with Legos, and you stop watching cartoons, and everything just becomes really serious and a lot of times very boring. And, you know, we have all of our adult responsibilities, or adulting as people call it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with growing up in a sense and being mature and being responsible. I think those things are great. Those are some of my favorite qualities in people and something that I really pride in myself. But at the same time, I think it's really important for us to maintain a certain childlike wonder and to still be creative and to really tap into our imagination and what is possible in this world, because it feels like a lot of times as we become adults, dreams sort of just die, and it's not about what we want to do, it's what we feel like we have to do, and so we give up a lot of the things that we were passionate about. One day I was just sitting and had this epiphany of how I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, in a sense, I do have an idea. Like, I know I'm going to wake up, you know, I'm going to get ready for the day. I might have some errands to run. I might be filming a video. I'm going to walk my dogs. I'm going to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I know those sort of things. But also, I just realized the potential of anything being possible, because we can't predict exactly what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or next week or next year. And for a lot of us, that's actually truly terrifying. We live in fear of the unknown, of what's going to happen in the future. I believe the reason why we tend to imagine the worst case scenario in our head is because of our ego. Imagine that your ego is an overly protective parent that is super cautious and trying to protect you from getting hurt. By imagining the worst case scenario, we feel like we have a sense of control over our lives and that we're protecting ourselves because we are mentally preparing for the worst. The ego is in the mind, which is why we tend to overanalyze everything. But we can make the decision to tell our ego that we understand its concern and that it's only trying to protect us, but we are going to choose to live from our heart space and go with what we feel is right for us, even if it seems scary, even if it's unknown, even if we may get hurt. And then we can start to imagine the best possible case or scenarios that could happen in the future. But instead, I started thinking about how exciting it is for me not to know. And I started thinking about all the things that I want and I desire, and the possibility of those coming at any time without me even knowing exactly when it's going to happen. And that I can keep working with the law of attraction, reprogramming my mindset, feeling those emotions, taking action, inspired action towards whatever it is I want, writing it down, working with the universe, and just feeling good overall, raising my vibration. And I just can't describe to you how excited I got. Like, I used to be a person who was very in fear of, oh no, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen at work. I'm scared of this happening. I'm scared of customers getting mad at me. I'm scared of messing up. I'm so scared of what's going to happen. And in this one time, I was thinking, wow, anything is possible. I can do anything. And I'm really looking forward to the future and every single day. This is going to be amazing. So the law of attraction technique I want to talk to you guys about that I've been practicing for not that long, actually, maybe like a few months so far. Since I've been full-time RVing with my husband, it has gotten me so much out of my comfort zone. When I lived in a certain place and I had a physical house that was on the ground, no wheels, I knew exactly the places I like to go. Like, I got comfortable with like certain parks I like to go to, certain places I like to hike. I knew exactly what grocery store I wanted to go to. I knew a lot of the cashiers. I knew what they sold, the products they had. I knew exactly where they were. You know, once in a while they would change it up, but for the most part, I knew exactly where everything was. And it was so routine. And so I didn't really have to think too much about it. I was just kind of on autopilot. I'd drive there, do my thing, come home, whatever. And since being on the road, it's so different. I never know what to expect in new places. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what the people are going to be like. I don't know what my experience is going to be like. And that used to be really scary when we first started. But now I've gotten to a point where I start visualizing. So using my imagination and visualizing how I want things to go that day. In particular, like it might be the night before and then sometimes the day of, or both. I'll give you an example. I have certain chores now that I need to do that are different from living in a house, such as once a week I need to go fill up propane. And that was something that was super uncomfortable for me because I don't really know anything about propane. I didn't know where to find it. I didn't know how much it was going to cost. Like, everything was just a variable and up in the air. And my husband works, so this is my responsibility to go into town and to figure this out. And I'll combine that with like grocery shopping, maybe going to the laundromat or certain things like that. And each time we're in a new place, and we might be there from a week to like 4 weeks, I have to figure out a new thing every time. So like the other day, I just Googled, propane places, and I ended up finding this place that was really, really easy because I've done it a few times now, and like it feels so awkward to me because I give them the propane and then I'm just kind of standing there and it's awkward silence and I don't know what to talk about, and I don't like small talk, so I especially don't like doing it when it's just me and one other person. So anyways, the last time I had to go get it a few days ago, before I left, I start to visualize and say everything is going to work out so easy and it's going to work out so smoothly, and it's all going to be great. Like, everybody I interact with is going to be friendly and helpful. Traffic is going to be light and it's going to be easy for me to navigate driving, and I'm going to find everything I need to find in the store, and it's going to be a lot quicker than I even imagined it's going to be. Because before, I would think of it like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's going to take forever to drive into town. It's going to take forever to find all the places that I need to go. It's going to be time consuming to do these things. It's going to take forever to like sit and wait for someone to fill out the propane and blah, 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 blah. Like, I had such a negative mindset about it. I just assumed everything was going to go terribly wrong and just not to how I would have liked it to be. And then I had to flip that switch and start consciously thinking thoughts and imagining, oh, everything is going to be so easy. It's going to be so smooth. It's going to be fun, actually. It's going to be a beautiful drive. It's going to be a beautiful day. And after I started doing that, my anxiety went away a lot. Mostly gone all the way, I would say, to where I just trust the universe that I'm going to get everything I need to get done and it's all going to work out. Another recent example of an errand I had to run that was unusual was I needed to print some important documents to get a permanent mailbox that I needed to send to the company right away before we get there. And normally I would just use the clubhouse at like an apartment complex, for instance, to print and scan things to my email, or I would do it when I had a job because I usually worked in an office and I had access to printers and scanners. If I don't have that, usually I would go to a library. And so I went to several libraries in town, and all of them said that there was no public access to computers because of COVID-19. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just started trusting that I was going to be guided to find the right place, and it was going to happen, and it was going to be smooth and easy, even though this first circumstance didn't really work out. And I had called my husband, and he started looking with me, and then he found this copier printer place that normally does big things for like designing signs and posters and merchandise for businesses. And I just needed like 4 copies of something from an email that I gotten, and they were like, yeah, sure, come on over and we'll do that for you. So I came in, they were really nice. It was super cheap and easy for them to print it out for me. And then I came back and I had to fill out all the information, and I went back yesterday to the same place and asked if they could scan it. And they were so incredibly just helpful and so nice about it, even though it was such a small thing I had to do and it wasn't giving them a lot of business. It was just like a few dollars worth of business. But I was so grateful for that, because something that may seem so small to other people is actually might be a really big thing to me, because this is saving us so much hassle in the future for when we send off this paperwork, because we have to get it in early. And everything for us is always kind of like on a timeline because we're moving so much, and we gotta really plan as much as we can in advance for things to just kind of fall into place. And fortunately, it always does. And one thing I always tell myself, even if things don't go according to the way that I picture it the first time, my favorite affirmation I always say is, everything is always working out for me, even if it doesn't seem like it. So that way I can consciously respond if the situation doesn't work out, like the first time with trying to print my copies, that there's always going to be a way. And everything is always working out the way it's meant to. So I don't need to worry about it. I'm not going to just sit around and be like, oh, well, hopefully it'll just happen. I know I still needed to take action, but I trusted that whatever action I would take would work out for the best. And it always does. It really always does. And this is something that I've been teaching my husband too. He's not so much in the law of attraction as I am. He does believe in it. We both manifested our dream life together, and it really has built his belief in it, but he doesn't practice it that much. And I honestly never really practiced what I called like small manifesting until recently. I, from the beginning, was like, go big or go home. I'm manifesting my soulmate, I'm manifesting my dream life, and all the little things in between, I'll just kind of wing it and figure out. But because now I'm really just figuring out how powerful our mind is, and the more I get into it, the more I'm like, I can navigate my reality however I want, day to day, minute to minute if I want. And it's basically like, instead of being on a boat in the middle of the sea and you want to get to, let's say, Puerto Rico, but you're not steering yourself there. You're not navigating. You're not figuring out, okay, well, how do I figure out the directions? Or I've never sailed before, but like, how do I figure out my bearings? How do I figure out how to navigate? What direction do I need to go? Let me at least get a direction and start sailing in that direction at some point. It's like, you just pick a path and start walking and trust that you're going to get to where you need to go, whether you get to a fork in the road and you use your intuition and you make a decision to go a certain way, or you get off the beaten path and go to a different path and create your own one. You really got to trust in yourself and trust in the universe. And you are in the universe. You are part of the universe. The universe is part of you. So you're also just trusting and believing in yourself and going with that gut feeling. One more example of how I've been doing like smaller manifesting and doing it day to day is my husband and I have decided to boondock with our RV, meaning that we're not going to parks, we're not making reservations, and we don't have a spot set for us when we get there. It's just we drive out and kind of hope for the best that there's going to be a spot available. But instead of just hoping for the best, we've now been intentionally manifesting a perfect spot for us. So our criteria is, first of all, it has to have amazing internet, like excellent internet so that he can work. So that's the first thing that we always say. We affirm we're going to have great internet. And then I like to also say we're going to have a beautiful spot with a beautiful view, and that we're going to have quiet neighbors, or ideally no neighbors, depending on how far spread out we are. Sometimes we're like in a national forest and there's nobody for at least half a mile to a mile away as our nearest neighbors. But of course, we still do a lot of research also before picking a spot, mostly from what other campers have reviewed about the Wi-Fi signal that they get out there, and also at what time of year it's pretty busy so that we can speculate if we'll get a spot or not. And I also like to manifest that we're going to be safe getting there, because there are a lot of bad drivers on the road and we've had to slam on our brakes a lot. And it's a huge risk for us, because not only are we carrying every single thing we own physically in our RV, which is our home, our house, and our truck, which has to pull our house, so we can't have one without the other. And then not only that, our whole family is in the truck. So we really, really need to be safe. And it's harder for us to stop abruptly when someone pulls out in front of us, because we have such a big load. And I don't think people either realize that or care. So it can be very nerve-wracking on the days that we need to travel to our next spot. So I try to visualize us being able to drive smoothly and easily. Everyone on the road is courteous and respectful drivers around us, and that it's gonna work out good. And I do that, and of course still sometimes there's just people who, like I said, are terrible drivers and only think about themselves, but we're still able to be defensive drivers and be able to get around that and to be safe, and to be as safe as possible on our end, and we always get there safe. And when we get there safe, and when we find our perfect spot, which we've managed to do every time now for the last few times, we thank the universe and give gratitude for helping us to get there safely and for helping us to manifest the perfect spot. And we're going to be doing that, I'm pretty sure, from now on, because you don't know what to expect exactly before you get someplace, but the least you can do is try to imagine the best outcome for yourself. Alright everyone, that is my video for today. I hope that this video inspires you to try using your imagination in a more positive and productive way to manifest daily what it is that you need to do or you want to do, but you're afraid of the outcome. Maybe it'll alleviate some of your anxiety, because you'll start to see evidence of it working on a daily basis. And the more that you feel like you have control over your daily life, I think the more you're going to feel like you can manifest bigger things in the future. And it's just going to come that much easier. And it's also going to help raise your vibration in the process, because you're going to feel good daily about your ability to navigate your day in a way that you see is going to go really well. You can do this for anything. Like if you have a business meeting you're nervous about, you can use this. Or I know for me, when I was in college, I had to do a lot of presentations, and that was scary. So if I knew this back then, I would have visualized the presentation going well, or a job interview, or if you need to have a serious talk with your partner or with a friend or a family member, whatever it is, you can visualize it at least first to go as well as possible. Even if it doesn't go the way you expect it to, like I said before, know that everything is still working out for you. There just might be a different and better situation or experience that you need to go through. And even if it seems like, oh my God, this is like so terrible, this is the worst thing that could happen to me, why is this happening? If you think about things like that have happened in the past, in hindsight, I pretty much guarantee that it always had some benefit for you. It taught you something in that experience. It led you to something better. It got you out of a bad situation into a better one. Everything, the good, the bad, and ugly, all are there to serve us, to help us grow, to help us learn, and to help us become the best version of ourselves. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.